Guten Morgen.
Let's open with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father,
Lieber himmlischer Vater,
Lord, we thank you for this new week.
Herr, wir danken dir für diese neue Woche.
We thank you for the rain that you have poured out,
Wir danken dir für den Regen, den du ausgegossen hast,
both the physical and the spiritual.
für den physischen und für den geistlichen.
And Lord, we know that you're trying to prepare us for what's coming.
Herr, wir wissen, dass du uns vorbereiten möchtest für das, was kommt.
And therefore I pray that you would open our minds
So bitte ich dich, dass du unseren Verstand öffnest,
and help us to comprehend the deep things that are written in your law.
dass du uns hilfst, dass wir die tiefen Dinge verstehen aus deinem Gesetz.
Please help me this morning to relay these points
Bitte hilf mir an diesem Morgen, diese Punkte auszulegen.
and help my brothers and sisters to be able to receive them,
Bitte hilf meinen Geschwistern in der Lage zu sein, sie zu erhalten.
and help us to remember that our ways are not your ways
Hilf uns, dass wir uns daran erinnern, dass unsere Wege nicht deine Wege sind.
and our thoughts are not your thoughts.
Unsere Gedanken sind nicht deine.
So please imbue us with your thoughts now
Und so bitte uns jetzt auch deine Gedanken
and bless us with your spirit.
und segne uns mit deinem Geist.
In the name of Jesus,
In Jesu Namen.
amen.
Amen.
Okay, this morning I want to go just through a few things.
Also heute Morgen möchte ich durch ein paar Dinge durchgehen.
Okay, I want to begin by going to this quote from 5 Testimonies.
Und wir
It's
fangen
in the
an
live stream now.
also mit dem Zitat von 5T.
And this is the vision that all the prophets have, not just Ezekiel. Right?
Und das ist die Vision, die alle haben, nicht nur Hesekiel.
Okay, and it says, Ezekiel, the morning exile prophet in the land of the Chaldees, was given a vision teaching the same lesson of faith in the mighty God of Israel. And prior to this, she's talking about Isaiah's experience.
Und vor dem spricht sie eben von Jesaja, seine Erfahrung.
And after this, she talks about John's experience.
Und nach dem spricht sie dann von Johannes, seine Erfahrung.
So we know that this is the experience or the vision that he's trying to give us all, right?
Also wir wissen, dass diese Erfahrung oder diese Vision, die er uns allen geben möchte.
Okay, it says Ezekiel, the morning exile prophet in the land of the Chaldees, was given a vision teaching the same lesson of faith in the mighty God of Israel. As he was upon the banks of the river Sheba, a whirlwind seemed to come from the north, right? And when you look at the book of Education, it also talks about Ezekiel's vision.
Wenn man sich das anschaut in dem Buch Erziehung, dann spricht es auch über Ezekiel.
But it says, goes on, it says that there's a crisis coming,
Aber es sagt dann eben, dass eine Krise kommt.
and it calls it a storm.
Und es nennt dies einen Sturm.
Okay, so this whirlwind is coming from the north. What is it?
Also dieser Wirbelsturm, der vom Norden kommt, was ist der?
It's a storm, right?
Also es ist ein Sturm.
No, not course it's a storm. The Bible explains itself, right?
Und die Bibel erklärt sich ja selbst.
So the storm, the point I want to make is that the railroad depot vision is, the title of it is A Storm is Coming, right?
Und bei dieser Bahnhofsvision, der Titel davon ist ja, ein Sturm kommt.
Okay, so the point is this, the one you see from this is the whirlwind that's coming from the north is the storm that's coming, right?
Also dieser Wirbelwind, der kommt vom Norden, ist dieser Sturm.
And the Lord is trying to prepare us because it says, who shall be able to stand, right?
Und der Herr, er versucht uns eben vorzubereiten, denn er sagt ja, wer ist in der Lage zu stehen.
Okay, so this is what the Lord is preparing for us. This storm that's coming is going to be like a whirlwind.
Und das eben, worauf uns der Herr vorbereiten möchte, denn dieser Sturm, der kommt, ist wie ein Wirbelwind.
It goes on, it says, a great cloud and a fire in, I should say, unfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, And out of the midst thereof, as the colour of amber, a number of wheels of strange appearance, intersecting one another, were moved by 4 living creatures. High above all these was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness of the appearance of a man above upon it. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps, it went up and down among the living creatures. And the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And there appeared in the cherubims the form of a man's hand under their wings. There were wheels within wheels, in an arrangement so complicated that at first sight they appeared to Ezekiel to be all in confusion. Okay? And this is our experience when we look at all these things that the Lord lays out for us. They seem to be confusing, right?
Und das ist eben auch bei uns, also wenn wir uns diese Dinge anschauen, die uns der Herr eben auslegt, dann scheinen sie eben durcheinander oder verwirrend.
But the point that I'm making is that Lord's ways are not our ways and His thoughts are not our thoughts.
Aber Gottes Wege sind ja nicht unsere Wege und seine Gedanken nicht unsere Gedanken.
It says, but when they moved, it was with beautiful exactness and in perfect harmony. So, the point that I understand, the Lord wants us to see the perfect harmony of all these things that He's laying out for us, right?
Und der Herr möchte eben, dass wir sehen, diese perfekte Harmonie in all diesen Dingen eben.
And I believe that when we see that perfect harmony, that's the light that will humble us in the dust, right?
Und ich glaube, wenn wir eben diese perfekte Harmonie sehen, dann ist es dieses Licht, was uns demütigen wird.
Heavenly beings were impelling these wheels, and above all, upon the glorious sapphire throne was the Eternal One, where round about the throne was the encircling rainbow, emblem of grace and love. Overpowered by the terrible glory of the scene, Ezekiel fell upon his face. So that's the experience the Lord wants to bring us to, right?
Und dass wir eben auf unser Angesicht fallen, das ist auch die Erfahrung, die der Herr uns geben möchte.
When a voice bade him arise and hear the word of the Lord, then there was given him a message of warning for Israel. The vision was given to Ezekiel at a time when his mind was filled with gloomy forebodings. He saw the land of his fathers lying desolate. The city that was once full of people was no longer inhabited. The voice of mirth and the song of praise were no more heard within her walls. The prophet himself was a stranger in a land where boundless ambition and savage cruelty reigned supreme. That which he saw and heard of human tyranny and wrong distressed his soul, and he mourned bitterly day and night. So where is Ezekiel?
Also wo steht Ezekiel?
He's in captivity, right?
Also ist in Gefangenschaft.
And it's important. He's in captivity and he's looking forward to the end of this period, right?
Und das ist eben wichtig. Also ist in dieser Gefangenschaft und er schaut eben vorwärts auf dieses Ende, diese Zeit.
But the wonderful symbols presented before him beside the river Sheba revealed an overruling power mightier than that of earthly rulers. Above the proud and cruel monarchs of Assyria and Babylon, the God of mercy and truth was enthroned. The wheel-like complications that appeared to the prophet to be involved in such confusion were under the guidance of an infinite hand. The Spirit of God revealed to him. What did the Spirit of God do?
Also was hat der Geist Gottes getan?
Revealed to him as moving and directing these wheels, brought harmony out of confusion. So the whole world was under his control. Myriads of glorified beings were ready at his work to overrule the power and policy of evil men and bring good to his faithful ones. So the Lord wants us to see that everything is in perfect harmony, right?
Also der Herr möchte, dass wir sehen, dass alles in perfekter Harmonie ist.
And that you don't have to worry about those nasty things that are waiting for us out there.
Und dass wir uns eben nicht Sorgen machen müssen vor diesen bösen Dingen, die also draußen vor uns warten.
Because last night we were looking at we were looking at this the book of Galatians and Romans and showing how they're in perfect harmony, right?
Und gestern haben wir uns auch das Buch Galater und Römer angeschaut und sie sind in perfekter Harmonie.
And they're pointing forward to this point in time where we have this perfect faith.
Und sie weisen eben vorwärts diese Zeit, wo wir diesen perfekten Glauben dann haben.
And the perfect faith is the faith of Jesus, right?
Dieser vollkommene Glauben ist ja der Glauben von Jesus.
Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus, right?
Also hier ist die Geduld der Heiligen und die was eben die Gebote halten und das eben die was eben diesen Glauben von Jesus haben.
The faith of Jesus is a faith that knows the appointed times, right?
Dieser Glaube eben von Jesus, das ist eben Glaube, der eben weiß, diese bestimmten Zeiten.
He knows that God is in control and he's not worried because he knew exactly where to be and when to be at every single point in the prophetic narrative, right?
Also er weiß eben diese festgesetzten Zeiten von Gott und macht sich eben keine Sorgen, weil er immer weiß, wo er steht und wo er eben sein muss.
Christ was constantly tarrying, right?
Christus hat ja konstant immer gewartet.
From his child to his baptism, he tarried.
Also von seiner Kindheit an bis zur Taufe hat er gewartet.
And then from there forward, he says, "Mine hour has not yet come." He kept telling them, "Wasn't yet," right?
Und von der Taufe vorwärts hat er dann auch noch immer gesagt, also meine Stunde ist noch immer nicht gekommen, also
Okay.
immer gewartet.
He was always waiting for the appointed time, right?
Also er hat immer gewartet auf die bestimmte Zeit.
And this is what I want to look at this morning, to see the complicated play of events, right, that are really revealing our appointed times, right?
Und das ist eben auch, was wir uns heute Morgen anschauen wollen, eben diese komplizierten Ereignisse eben.
The appointed, they reveal the appointed times.
Die was eben diese bestimmten Zeiten offenbaren.
Okay, go to Jeremiah chapter 8. We looked at this very briefly last night.
Und wir gehen jetzt zu Jeremia 8,
Verse 7.
in Vers 7.
Okay, it says here, "The stork in heaven knoweth her appointed times." What's a stork symbolize?
Also was symbolisiert ein Stab?
This is the Gentiles, right?
Also das sind die Heiden.
You have this in the book of Zechariah, these two storks lifting up the ephah. Right?
Also im Buch Sacharja haben wir diese zwei Störche, die was eben dieses Fass eben hochheben.
Okay, it says, "The stork in heaven knoweth her appointed times, and the turtle and the crane and the swallow observe the time of their coming. But my people know not the judgment of the Lord." Okay, so what is the appointed times according to Jeremiah 8:7?
Also was ist diese bestimmte Zeit gemäß Jeremia 8, Vers 7?
The judgment, right?
Also das Gericht.
Okay, so the appointed times is the judgment. Right? And we'll see that one in a moment.
Diese bestimmte Zeit ist eben dieses Gericht.
And when you go to Isaiah chapter 1,
Und wenn wir zu Jesaja 1 gehen,
verses 2 and 3,
Vers 2 und 3,
it says, "Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have" what? "Rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner." Who does the ox know?
also wen kennt der Ochse?
His owner, right?
Also seinen Herrn.
Who is our owner?
Und wer ist auch unser Herr?
Right.
Christus.
So it says, "The ox knoweth his owner, the ass his master's cribs, but Israel doth not know." So what does Israel not know?
Also was weiß Israel nicht? Oder wen kennt Israel nicht?
Doesn't know him, right? Because in John 17:3, if we just quickly go there,
Und wenn wir zu Johannes 17, Vers 3 schnell gehen,
It says, and this is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast what? Sent. Right? Okay, so when we go to the line of Christ, right?
Wenn wir zur Linie von Christus gehen,
The baptism marks the point where you're sent, right?
die Taufe markiert ja den Punkt, wo du gesandt wirst.
It's the appointed time,
Also das ist die bestimmte Zeit.
okay? So we read that the stork knows the appointed times, which is the judgment, right?
Wir haben ja eben gelesen, dass der Storch erkennt die bestimmten Zeiten, was das Gericht ist.
It says the ox knoweth his owner, but Israel doth not know, right?
Und es sagt auch, der Ochse kennt seinen Herrn, aber Israel weiß eben nicht.
So what does Israel not know?
Also was weiß Israel nicht?
Doesn't know her appointed times.
So kennt es seine bestimmten Zeiten.
It doesn't know the judgment of the Lord,
Also
right?
es kennt nicht die Gerichte Gottes.
It doesn't know the time when you're going to be sent, right?
Also es kennt nicht die Zeit, wo du eben gesandt wirst.
Okay, and these are the appointed times, right?
Das sind eben diese bestimmten Zeiten.
Okay, so this, what was the cross a symbol of?
Und also dafür ist das Kreuz ein Symbol.
Judgment, right?
Für das Gericht.
Okay, so doesn't know the judgment of the Lord, so it's the what? The appointed time, right?
Also sie kennen dieses Gericht des Herrn nicht, also die bestimmte Zeit.
Okay, the line specifically shows a birth and a judgment because it's marking the appointed times.
Und die Linie zeigt eben spezifisch diese Geburten, dieses Gericht und es markiert eben diese bestimmten Zeiten.
Not arguing that you can show that there's a birth here and there's also a judgment here, but specifically does it this way, right? So you see that the birth is the appointed time and the judgment is the appointed time.
Und ich verneine jetzt nicht, dass man auch hier eine Geburt aufzeigen kann und hier ein Gericht, aber es ist eben spezifisch so gemacht, dass eben hier die Geburt ist und hier das Gericht, damit es eben diese bestimmten Zeiten aufzeigt.
Okay, so now just let's begin. In all the reform lines here, you have these times of captivity beforehand, right?
Und in all diesen Reformlinien, da haben wir immer diese Zeit der Gefangenschaft zuvor.
Okay, so if you go to Exodus chapter 23,
Wenn wir zu 2. Mose 23 gehen,
verse 15,
Vers 15,
it says, Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed of the month Abib. For in it thou camest out of Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. So, where is that on our line?
also wo ist das auf unserer Linie?
We need to look at the board. Sorry? Come on, guys. Where is this point on the board here?
The office, I mean the deliverance.
The what, sorry?
It's not the deliverance when they came out of it.
Okay, Marius, look at the board. Where is it on the board?
Also auf der Tafel, wo ist das?
Right here, right?
Also genau hier,
So
zum Wasser.
this is the time appointed, right?
Also das ist die bestimmte Zeit.
Do we see that? Okay. So the point is that the 400 years was marking a period of what?
Die 400 Jahre waren ja eine Periode von was?
Captivity, right?
Zeit der Gefangenschaft.
Okay, and that captivity goes all the way to the time appointed. Right?
Diese Gefangenschaft ist eben bis zur bestimmten Zeit gegangen.
Right? Okay, so go to Daniel chapter 8, verse 13.
Jetzt gehen wir zu Daniel 8, Vers 13.
It says, Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot. So it's speaking about the 25-20, right? These two desolating powers.
Spricht über die 25-20, die zwei zerstörenden Mächte.
And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall this sanctuary be cleansed. So it's just now showing that the 2,300 days will end at the same time as these two desolating powers, right?
Also es sagt jetzt, dass die 2300 zur selben Zeit eben endet, so wie diese zwei verwüstenden Mächte.
And it came to pass, when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then, behold, there stood before me the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of the Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O Son of Man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. So what's it doing now?
Also was tut es jetzt in Vers 17?
It's marking the end of the 2300, the end of the 25-20, and it's saying that it's the time of the end, right?
Also es markiert das Ende der 2300, das Ende der 25-20 und es sagt eben, dass es die Zeit des Endes ist.
Right?
Richtig?
Manuel, you follow? No, I'm just, you're thinking, right? Okay, verse 18.
Vers 18.
Now as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, and he touched me and set me upright. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. So what it does here is it takes three prophecies and takes them all to the time appointed, right?
Also es nimmt drei Weissagungen und platziert sie eben alle bis zur Zeit des Endes.
So this vision,
Bis zur bestimmten Zeit.
so there's this vision, Christ is in the river, there's an angel either side of the river, and one of the angels says, how long, right?
So da ist diese Vision, also Christus ist in der Mitte zum Fluss und zwei Engel auf jeweiliger Seite und der eine Engel fragt dann, wie lange.
And he's trying to get him to understand that the vision of the 25-20, the 2300, and the 1260 at the time of the end,
Und er
Wait.
möchte, möchte Ihnen eben zeigen, dass die 25-20, die 2300 und die 1260 zur Zeit des Endes gehen.
which is the time appointed.
Was auch die bestimmte Zeit ist.
Right? And you'll see that because in Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3,
Und wenn wir zu Habakuk 2, Vers 3 gehen,
it says, For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but the end it shall speak. When shall it speak?
also wann soll die Vision sprechen?
At the end.
The end.
Am Ende.
And we just read in Daniel 8 and verse 19, the time appointed, the end shall be. Right?
Und wir haben ja eben in Daniel 8, Vers 19 gelesen, dass zur bestimmten Zeit das Ende sein soll.
Now, we know that Habakkuk is a fulfillment of firstly the 1843 chart and then the 1850 chart, right?
Wir wissen ja, dass Habakuk 2 eben eine Erfüllung ist von der 1843er Karte und dann auch von der 1850er Karte.
So what's written on there?
Und was steht da drauf geschrieben?
Well, it says here the vision, right?
Denn es sagt ja die Vision.
One vision.
Also es spricht von einer Vision.
But what's written on those charts?
Aber was steht geschrieben auf dieser Karte?
The 2520, the 2300, the 1260, the 1335 and the 1290.
Also es
Right.
spricht von dieser 1260, von der 2300, 2520, der 1335, der 1290.
Right? So if I was here, 1335, right? I'll show you that they're all coming to the time appointed, which is the time of the end. Right?
Und sie kommen eben alle bis zu dieser bestimmten Zeit, was auch die Zeit des Endes ist.
Okay, just to confirm this, go to Daniel chapter 11.
Und um das zu bestätigen, gehen wir zu Daniel 11,
Verse 31.
Vers 31.
It says, An arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. This is the Sunday law crisis, right?
Also das ist diese Sonntagsgesetzkrise.
And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries, but the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword, by flame, by captivity, and spoil many days. Right? So this is the prophecy of the many days.
Also das ist diese Weissagung der vielen Tage.
In Daniel chapter 8, how long was the 2,300 for?
Und in Daniel 8, wie lange sollte die 2300 sein?
For many days, right?
Für viele Tage.
So it's telling you that the many days in Daniel 8, which was the 2300, the 1260, the 2520, is confirmed here in Daniel 11, right?
Also es sagt uns, dass diese vielen Tage in Daniel 8, was die 1260, die 2300, die 2520 ist, dass das eben
Confirmed here in Daniel 11.
dass es eben bestätigt ist in Daniel 11.
Now when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, to purge, and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. Okay, so the vision of many days brings you to the time of the end, and it's a time appointed.
Also diese Vision der vielen Tage bringt dich eben zur Zeit des Endes, dass es auch die bestimmte Zeit ist.
Right? It's one vision, right?
Also das ist wie eine Vision.
Because it says, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, right?
Denn es sagt ja, schreibe die Vision, mache sie deutlich auf Tafeln.
Doesn't say visions, it says vision.
Also es sagt nicht Visionen, sondern eben Vision.
Okay. And when you go to Daniel chapter 12, it just confirms this, right?
Wenn wir zu Daniel 12 gehen, dann bestätigt das auch.
Verse 4.
Vers 4.
It says, But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? It's the same as Daniel 8, right?
Also Vers 6 ist dieselbe Frage, so wie in Daniel 8.
An angel that's on the bank of the river asks the man that's in the midst of the river, How long? Right?
Also ein Engel an diesem Ufer des Flusses fragt in diesem Land in der Mitte des Flusses, wie lange?
And he says, I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and sware by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and half a time, when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people. All these things shall be what? Finished. Right? So it's talking about the 1260, right?
Also in Vers 7 spricht dann über diese 1260.
All these things shall be finished, right?
Also all diese Dinge werden dann beendet sein.
Verse 8.
Vers 8.
And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? What's he asking?
Also was fragt er?
The end, right?
Das Ende.
And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. So he asks when the end is, and he says it's at the time of the end.
Also fragt dieses Ende und ihm wird eben beantwortet, dass es Zeit des Endes ist.
And the end is the time appointed, right?
Das Ende ist auch diese bestimmte Zeit.
The end is the end of many days.
Also das Ende ist das Ende der vielen Tage.
Right? Go on, verse 10.
Vers 10.
Many shall be purified, made white, and tried. When does that happen?
Wann findet das statt?
We just read in Daniel 11, right?
Wir haben das eben in Daniel 11 gelesen.
during the time period of the 1260.
Also
Right?
in der Zeit der 1260.
Many shall be purified, made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, none of the wicked shall understand. So the wicked are God's people, and what is it they don't understand?
Also diese Bösen, die sind eben Gottes Volk. Und was verstehen sie nicht?
They don't understand the appointed times, right?
Also die verstehen die bestimmten Zeiten nicht.
They don't understand the judgment of the Lord, right?
Also sie verstehen das Gericht des Herrn nicht.
Because the many days takes you down to the judgment,
Denn die vielen Tage, sie bringen dich eben zum Gericht.
okay? And from the time the daily shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,335 days, which is this finishes at the same time as the 2,300, right?
Diese endet ja zur gleichen Zeit wie die 2300.
So this is the blessing, right? And you've got to wait for it, right?
Also das ist dieser Segen und du musst darauf warten.
Because the vision of many days is going to tarry,
Denn diese Vision der vielen Tage, sie wird auf sich warten lassen.
right? So you've got to wait for the time appointed when the judgment comes, right?
Also du musst warten auf diese bestimmte Zeit, wenn das Gericht kommt.
Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,335 days. But go thy way till the what? End be. This is what he asks. When shall be the end of these things?
Und in Vers 13, also er hat ja gefragt um dieses Ende, wann das Ende sein soll.
Right? Go thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of days. So whenever the end is, Daniel's got to stand in his lot, right?
Also wann immer auch das Ende ist, Daniel muss auf jeden Fall in seinem Los stehen.
And on that chart there, it says that when he stands in his lot, it's the what?
Und auf dieser Karte sagt es, wenn er in seinem Los steht, dann ist es was? So die Auferstehung.
Right. Okay, so we were talking this morning about the whirlwind. It's the storm, which is a crisis, right?
Wir haben ja heute Morgen über diesen Wirbelwind geredet, was auch dieser Sturm, diese Krise ist.
And in the Desire of Ages, Sister White talks about the two great crises, right?
Und in Christi Leben,
Leben Jesu.
im Leben Jesu, what does she say?
Talks about the two great crises.
Da spricht es über diese zwei großen Krisen.
Okay. What are the two great crises?
Und was sind diese zwei Krisen?
And the second coming, right? So, okay.
Also die Zerstörung und das zweite Kommen.
Okay, so the resurrection. When does the resurrection take place?
Und diese Auferweckung, wann findet die statt?
Come on, already. When does the resurrection take place? No, what reminds us when Christ comes, right? He comes and he says, "Awake, awake," right?
Also sie findet statt, wenn Christus kommt. Er sagt, ja, wacht auf, wacht auf.
The two great crises is the second coming and the destruction of Jerusalem,
Also
right?
die zwei großen Krisen, das ist eben das zweite Kommen und die Zerstörung von Jerusalem.
Okay, and the point I want to make is that the resurrection is the blessing, right?
Und diese Auferweckung ist dieser Segen.
Okay, when Christ comes, he puts the sins on the scapegoat, right?
Und wenn Christus ja kommt, dann platziert er ja die Sünden auf den Sündenbock.
It is finished,
Und
right?
er sagt dann, es ist beendet.
Right? And when in the type, when he came out and put the sins on the scapegoat, what does he do to the people?
Und im Typus, wenn er eben die Sünden auf den Sündenbock platziert, was muss dann das Volk tun? Oder?
He blesses them, right?
Also er segnet dann das Volk.
Okay, it's the second coming, right?
Also das ist das zweite Kommen.
And Christ comes as the former and the latter rain, right?
Und Christus kommt ja wie der Früh- und der Spätregen.
And we know that when he comes, he's going to fill you with his spirit, right?
Und wir wissen, wenn er kommt, dann wird er dich füllen mit dem Heiligen Geist.
So the second coming is the resurrection. It's the blessing.
Also
Right.
das zweite Kommen ist auch diese Auferweckung, also dieser Segen.
It's one crisis, right?
Also es ist eine Krise.
But the other crisis is the destruction of Jerusalem.
Und diese andere Krise ist die Zerstörung von Jerusalem.
Okay. Which is the judgment, right?
Was auch das Gericht ist.
Because the destruction of Jerusalem is marked by buildings being brought down, right?
Und die Zerstörung von Jerusalem, das ist ja dadurch markiert, dass Gebäude herunterkommen.
9/11.
Und das ist auch der 11. September.
Therefore, what is 9/11?
Und deswegen, was ist der 11. September?
The time appointed, right?
Die bestimmte Zeit.
Right? The Lord wants us to bring all these things together, right? So, okay. The 70 weeks,
Und diese 70 Wochen,
where was it pointing to in Christ's line?
also auf was haben sie hingewiesen in Christi Linie?
Right, it's pointing to the. I don't know if I've put this in here. No.
The cross.
The what? Sorry.
Baptism in the cross.
Yes, but I'm not denying that point. But the point is, the first point they were looking for, the 70 weeks, was the beginning of the Messiah was forecasted to come at the beginning of the last week, right?
Also Messias sollte ja eben kommen am Anfang dieser letzten Woche.
And the midst of the week, the sacrifices would cease, right?
Und in der Mitte der Woche würden die Opfer eben aufhören.
So, but the point I want to say here is that this points forward to there, right?
Also diese 70 Wochen, sie weisen eben vor allem darauf hin.
Is it a contradiction?
Ist das ein Widerspruch?
When you look at this, is it a contradiction?
Also wenn man sich jetzt das hier anschaut, ist das ein Widerspruch?
Come on, brothers. What's the title of this study?
Also was ist der Titel von diesem Studium?
So that's what we're studying, the times appointed. So is it a contradiction?
Also die bestimmte Zeit. Und ist das nun ein Widerspruch?
No. So what is this?
Nein, denn was ist das?
Come on, the
What is
last
it?
2
What
weeks,
is it about?
Galatians chapter
Yes.
4. What does it tell us that it is?
Also Galater 4, was sagt es uns, was das
Marius,
ist?
what's the title of the paper? What does it tell us that this is?
Because
The
you're
time
a son of
appointed,
God.
right?
So das ist die bestimmte Zeit.
So this is not a contradiction to this, right?
Also das ist kein Widerspruch zu dem.
Okay? Because my people doth not know what? What do they not know?
Denn mein Volk kennt was nicht.
Judgment of the Lord.
Yes.
Times.
They don't know the Lord, right? Because they don't know the judgment of the Lord, neither do they know the blessing of the Lord, right?
Also sie kennen den Herrn nicht, denn sie kennen eben nicht sein Gericht noch seinen Segen.
But John 17:3 says, "This is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast what? Sent," right?
Aber Johannes 17, Vers 3 sagt er uns, dass es eben ewiges Leben ist, dass wir ihn und denjenigen, den er gesandt hat, Jesus Christus, erkennen.
So it's the time appointed, right?
Also das ist diese bestimmte Zeit.
What does the crane know? The stork know, sorry.
Was kennt der Storch?
No, times appointed.
Also er kennt die Zeit, also die bestimmten Zeiten.
It knows the two births, right?
Also er kennt diese zwei Geburten.
It knows these two times of trouble and what's coming at the end of it, right?
Also er kennt diese zwei Zeiten der Trübsal und weiß, was am Ende passiert.
Okay. It's the fulfillment of the vision, right?
Das ist eben diese Erfüllung der Vision.
Okay. Now, just to confirm this, go to Testimonies, the Ministers 115.
Um das zu bestätigen, gehen wir zu dem Zitat.
It says, Daniel stood in his lot to bear his testimony, which was sealed until the time of the end. When was Daniel told that he was going to stand in his lot?
Also wann sollte Daniel in seinem Los stehen. Das wurde ihm gesagt.
At the end of the 1335, right?
Also am Ende der 1335.
That's what it tells us on the chart, right? 2300 and the 1335, right?
Also das sagt es uns auf der Karte, also die 2300 und die 1335.
But it says here, Daniel stands this lot at the time of the end, right?
Aber es sagt hier, dass eben Daniel in seinem Los steht zur Zeit des Endes.
Okay, and it's putting it all here at the end. This is what it wants us to understand, right?
Das platziert eben all das hier auf dieses Ende. Das ist das, was es uns zu verstehen geben möchte.
Okay, so come to these two times, the 70 years and the 1260. What does Sister White do with them?
Also die 70 Jahre und die 1260. Was tut Schwester White mit denen?
Parallels them, right?
Sie setzt sie parallel.
Okay, so many things that we can show, right? But they both point to the fall of Babylon, right?
Und sie beide weisen ja auf diesen Fall von Babylon hin.
And the fall of Babylon is the judgment,
Der Fall von Babylon ist das Gericht.
right? And we just read that the 1260 finishes at the time appointed, which is the judgment, right?
Wir haben ja eben gelesen, dass die 1260 zur bestimmten Zeit, also dass das Gericht ist, endet.
And during the 1260, what's happening to God's people?
Und während der 1260, was passiert mit Gottes Volk?
They're being persecuted, right?
Es werden verfolgt.
So this time period, right,
Also diese Zeit hier
is the Sunday law. Oh, excuse me.
Also
Right.
diese Zeit ist das Sonntagsgesetz.
So how do we do with that now?
Und was tun wir jetzt damit?
What do we do with it?
What do you mean?
Well, what are we going to do with this here? Where's the Sunday law on the board?
Also was tun wir mit dem jetzt? Wo ist das Sonntagsgesetz auf der Tafel?
Right, so we're going to rightly divide it, right?
Also wir werden das eben richtig trennen.
And I want you to see something. When you come down to this line here, right?
Und wenn wir zu dieser Linie herabkommen,
What does 1989 to 9/11 teach us?
was lehrt uns 1989 bis zum 11. September?
Sunday law 2
Judgment.
of,
Cities.
yes, judgment of Babylon, right?
Es lehrt uns eben dieses Sonntagsgesetz bis zur Zerstörung von Babylon.
Okay, so here the USA Protestantism and the Pope,
Also hier die USA, also Protestantismus und der Papst.
and it leads down to the judgment, right?
Das führt eben herab zu dem Gericht.
So the only line that does that really teaches the Sunday law right here, right?
Also das ist eigentlich die einzige Linie, die das Sonntagsgesetz eben hier platziert.
The 400 years in Egypt, is it also illustrating the Sunday law?
Diese 400 Jahre illustrieren sie auch das Sonntagsgesetz.
What about the 70 years in Babylon? Where was Ezekiel?
Also was mit den 70 Jahren in Babylon? Wo war Hesekiel?
He was in captivity and he was looking forward to the end, right?
Also er war in Gefangenschaft und hat vorwärts geschaut auf das Ende.
And specifically here, right, go to Jeremiah 25.
Und wenn wir zu Jeremia 25 gehen,
I just want you to see there's all these different wheels, right? They're all at different points, but they're all teaching the same thing.
also ich möchte, dass wir eben diese verschiedenen Räder eben sehen. Sie sind zu verschiedenen Punkten, aber sie lernen alle dasselbe.
Verse 12.
Zu Jeremia 25, Vers 12.
And it shall come to pass, when 70 years are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon. Right? So, after 70 years, Babylon would be punished at the end, right?
Also nach 70 Jahren wird Babylon bestraft am Ende.
But when Sister White parallels the 1260 with the 70 years, she's not talking about this 70 years, she's talking about the 70 years in Jeremiah 29.
Aber wenn eben Schwester White die 1260 und die 70 Jahre parallel setzt, dann spricht sie nicht über diese 70 Jahre, sondern über die 70 Jahre in Jeremia 29.
Go to Jeremiah 29 and verse 10.
Also Jeremia 29, Vers 10.
For thus saith the Lord, that after 70 years shall be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word toward you in causing you to return to this place. So, where does the 70 years end on the line? This 70 years.
Also wo enden diese 70 Jahre auf der Linie?
Right here, right? So the 70 years goes to there, right?
Also genau hier. Die gehen eben bis hierher.
Okay? But just like this time at the end, they're both they're teaching parallel truths, right?
Aber diese Zeit des Endes und diese Zeit des Endes, sie lehren uns eben parallele Wahrheiten.
They're actually both pointing down to the end, right?
Also sie weisen eigentlich beide auf dieses Ende hin.
Because the Bible puts the 1260, the 23 and 2520 and all that all parallel. They all end at the same time, right?
Und die Bibel, sie setzt eben parallel diese 1260 und die 2520 und sie bringt, also sie sagt eben, sie kommen alle bis zum Ende.
So both those 70-year prophecies, they're both ending at the time appointed, right?
Also diese beiden 70 Jahre, sie beide enden eben zur bestimmten Zeit.
Because this period, right, you would, if you're going to parallel with the 1260, you would take it right down to here, right?
Und diese Zeit eben, wenn man das auch parallel setzt mit der 1260, können wir das eben auch hierhin platzieren.
Right? Everybody following what I'm saying? Because this 1260, right, comes to the fall of Babylon. At the beginning of the Sunday law, Babylon does not fall physically, right?
Und diese 1260, sie bringt einem ja zu diesem Fall von Babylon und am Anfang der Sonntagsgesetzkrise fällt ja Babylon noch nicht.
Right, Elena? Okay, it doesn't fall at the beginning, it falls at the end, right?
Also es fällt ja nicht am Anfang, sondern am Ende.
So we're rightly dividing now and we're taking this Sunday law crisis and we're placing it in the Sunday law crisis, right?
Also wir trennen das jetzt richtig und nehmen diese Sonntagsgesetzkrise, platzieren sie eben in die Sonntagsgesetzkrise.
Right? And the 70 years that parallels the 1260, the fall of Babylon, will take you to the judgment at the end, right?
Doch diese 70 Jahre, die eben parallel sind mit der 1260, sie bringen einen eben auch zu diesem Gericht am Ende.
But the other 70 years takes you to the first decree, right?
Diese anderen, also die anderen 70 Jahre, sie bringt einen eben zu diesem ersten Dekret.
So if we do this, right, we can go like that. Right?
Also wir können das jetzt ja ummachen, dass das bis zum Ende geht.
But they're both, this is 70 years and this is 70 years. They're both prophesying the same event because they're both the times appointed.
Aber das eben die 70 Jahre und das auch und beide weissagen eben dieses selbe, denn sie weisen auf diese bestimmte Zeit.
Right? And all of those things, the 400, the 70 years, the 1260, the 25, they're all in here, right?
Und all diese Dinge eben, die 470 Wochen und all das, die sind eben auch hier drin.
Because this illustrates the Sunday law to the judgment.
Denn das illustriert das Sonntagsgesetz bis zum Gericht.
All see that? Because at the end here, 9/11, you have the judgment on the cities, which is the destruction of Jerusalem.
Und am Ende hier am 11. September hat man eben diese Zerstörung der Städte, was die Zerstörung von Jerusalem ist.
But it's only a type, right? Because you didn't have the birth here, right?
Aber es ist nur ein Typus, denn man hat ja noch nicht die Geburt hier gehabt.
It's going to have it here, right?
Sie wird dann
Perfect.
eben hier sein, perfekt.
All see how all these things, there are all these wheels within the wheels, right?
Können das alle sehen, diese Räder in den Rädern.
Okay, go now to Daniel 11, verse 24.
Und jetzt gehen wir zu Daniel 11 und Vers 24.
I want us to see this, how the Lord wants us to see it, not according to our finite minds, right? How we would have it.
Ich möchte eben, dass wir das so sehen, wie der Herr es eben möchte, dass wir das verstehen und nicht gemäß unserem begrenzten Verstand.
Okay, so in Daniel 11:24 it says, this is speaking about Rome, right?
Also das spricht jetzt über Rom.
And Rome, in the prophecy of Ezekiel 21, what is Rome?
Und Rom in der Prophezeiung von Ezekiel 21, also es ist Rom.
It's the fourth, right?
Es ist das vierte.
I will overturn till he shall come whose right it is. And he comes in the time period of Rome, right?
Also ich werde überstürzen.
Umstürzen.
Ich werde umstürzen, eben bis derjenige kommt, der das.
So when you take the whole crisis, you've got first Sunday law, time of peace. Second Sunday law, the fourth marks the 7 last plagues, right?
Wenn wir eben diese große Traktat nehmen, dann haben wir eben das Sonntagsgesetz, dann von aller Untersuchung, dann die Zeit des Friedens, dann wieder also das Sonntagsgesetz und das vierte markiert dann fortfahren. Das vierte markiert dann die 7 letzten Plagen.
Which is the time period of Rome, the fourth.
Was auch die Zeit von Rom ist, also das vierte.
Because that's when Christ is going to come, right?
Und das ist ja auch, wo Christus dann kommen wird.
Okay, but those 7 last plagues are being prefigured by the Sunday law crisis.
Aber diese 7 letzten Plagen, die werden ja vorausgeschattet von der Sonntagsgesetzkrise.
When Rome sets itself up, right?
Also wenn Rom sich eben selbst aufsetzt.
Amen? And it's also marking the final test, because the final test is also where the abomination of desolation is going to set himself up.
Und es markiert eben auch diesen finalen Test. Und zum finalen Test ist es auch, wo dieses Gräuel der Verwüstung eben aufgesetzt. Also
Okay, so Rome is going to set itself up until the time appointed, right?
Also Rom setzt sich eben auf bis zur bestimmten Zeit.
He wants to see us all these fractals, bringing it right down, right? To this last test.
Und der Herr möchte, dass wir eben all diese Fraktale sehen, dass uns eben bis zum Ende, bis zum finalen Test bringen.
Okay, let's read Daniel 11:24.
Also Daniel 11, Vers 24.
And he shall enter peaceably, even upon the fattest places of the province. And he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey, the spoil, the riches. Yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. Right? It's a period of time.
Und so ist eine Periode.
And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army. And he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Yea, and they that feed the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow, and many shall fall down slain. And both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper. For yet the end shall be at the what? Time appointed. Then he shall return unto his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do exploits and return in his own land. At the time appointed he shall return and come towards the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter. So Rome is going to rule for a time, and where does Rome end?
Also Rom wird für eine Zeit regieren und wann endet Rom?
The time appointed, right?
Zur bestimmten Zeit.
Okay. Now, the time appointed was which year?
Und die bestimmte Zeit war welches Jahr?
330, right?
Also 330.
And when you came to 330, what happened?
Als man zu 330 kam, was ist passiert?
He left Rome and went to
Yes, but okay. But I'm asking, what happened to Rome now?
further on.
It
Also-
falls, right?
Also Rom hat angefangen zu fallen.
Yes, but it begins to fall. When which and how did it begin to fall?
Also wie hat es angefangen jetzt zu fallen?
Sorry?
Trumpet calls.
No, I'm not asking why it began to fall. How does it fall?
Also ja, wie ist es gefallen?
How does it fall? What does it just? Is there one minute it just starts falling down? what causes it to fall?
Trumpets.
The trumpets, right?
Diese Posaunen.
Right, go to Revelation chapter 8.
Jetzt gehen wir zu Offenbarung 8.
Verse 1.
Vers 1.
It says, And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. What does he see?
Also was sieht er in Vers 2?
7 angels which had 7 trumpets, right?
7 Engel mit 7 Posaunen.
And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints, upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense which came up with the prayers of the saints ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it to the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. What's it marking?
Bis Vers 5. Und was markiert es?
It's the close of probation, right?
Also das Ende der
And
Gnadenzeit.
he's casting down these great balls of fire now come down to smash the cities, right?
Und er wirft dann eben dieses Räucherwerk herab und diese große Feuerbälle kommen dann und zerstören die Städte.
And so what's the 7 trumpets a symbol of?
Diese 7 Posaunen, für was sind sie ein Symbol?
The 7 last plagues, right?
Für die 7 letzten Plagen.
So at the time appointed, what comes upon Rome?
Also zur bestimmten Zeit, was kommt über Rom?
The 7 last plagues, right?
Die 7 letzten Plagen.
It's the judgment of the Lord, right?
Also das ist dieses Gericht des Herrn
At the time appointed,
zur
right?
bestimmten Zeit.
Okay, we see how all these things are really connecting together, right?
Können wir sehen, wie all diese Dinge eben zusammenkommen.
Okay, now there's a quote, and it talks about the 7th plague. I think it's talking about the 7th plague. It says, vial after vial, trumpet after trumpet is to pour out, right?
Da gibt es auch ein Zitat, das spricht über die 7 letzten Plagen und da sagt es eben,
It's talking about the 7th plague.
oh, und das spricht über die 7. Plage und das sagt,
Vial after vial. In the Bible, the vials are the plagues, right?
also es spricht also Schale um Schale und Posaune um Posaune.
Okay, so what it's doing is it's taking the vials, which is the plagues, and the trumpets, which is prefiguring them, and is putting them together, right?
Also es nimmt diese Schale und diese Posaunen und setzt sie eben parallel.
Right? Where we see that. So, the time appointed, right, it's no accident that it shows us that when you come down to this point, right, that the birth and the judgment are these 2 points, right?
Also es ist auch kein Zufall, dass die Linien uns das eben zeigen, dass diese Geburt und dieses Gericht eben zusammen sind.
And these are these 2 points that you know God, right?
Und das sind eben diese 2 Punkte, womit du dann eben Gott kennst.
And to know God means to know the times appointed.
Und Gott zu kennen bedeutet, die bestimmten Zeiten zu kennen.
Because when you know God, you will tarry patiently, trusting that He's in control, right?
Denn wenn du Gott kennst, dann wirst du eben auch geduldig warten und weißt eben, dass der Herr kommt.
You will trust and wait that the Lord is in control.
Also du wirst eben glauben und warten, dass eben der Herr in Kontrolle ist.
Okay, and this is the experience that He's trying to give us right now, so that we can really understand that God is truly in control, and you'll have such a faith, you won't worry about anything what they're doing, because God is the God of judgment, right?
Und das ist eben auch die Erfahrung, die der Herr uns eben jetzt geben möchte, dass wir eben wissen, dass der Herr eben in Kontrolle ist und dass wir uns keine Sorgen machen müssen, denn der Herr ist eben der Herr des Gerichtes.
So once we've been brought through the judgment, what will you then know?
Sobald wir dann durch das Gericht gegangen sind, was wirst du dann wissen oder kennen?
You'll know God, right?
Du kennst dann Gott.
And this is what He's preparing us for. He's preparing to bring us through this judgment so that we might know Him, that we might have this perfect faith, right?
Und das eben, worauf uns der Herr vorbereitet, dass wenn wir eben durch dieses Gericht gehen, dass wir dann den Herrn kennen, dass wir dann diesen perfekten Glauben haben.
That we'll see that all these wheels within the wheels are actually a perfect, coordinated sequence of events that lead you down to the time appointed, right?
Und diese Räder in den Rädern, sie sind ja in Wirklichkeit also diese perfekte Sequenz eben von Ereignissen, die dich bis zum Ende führen.
So you will know exactly where you are like Christ because you will have the mind of Christ.
So, du wirst genau wissen, wo du bist, so wie Christus, denn du hast ja dann den Verstand von Christus.
And you will say, the hour is not yet. You got to tarry, right?
Und du wirst dann eben sagen, die Stunde ist noch nicht jetzt und du wirst warten.
You get the point?
Versteht das jeder?
Okay, lots of nice things we haven't considered, and I think the Lord really wants to open our minds to this, right?
Und es sind eben viele Dinge, die wir bis jetzt noch nicht in Betracht gezogen haben. Und der Herr möchte uns eben unseren Verstand öffnen für diese Dinge.
Okay, and this is why there are many, let's say, difficulties with some people at the moment, because they're trying to put these in a chronology instead of remember that these are to be rightly divided and placed according to how the Bible explains it, right?
Und das ist eben auch, warum es momentan ein bisschen Schwierigkeiten gibt manchen Menschen, weil eben ja die Dinge, also die Menschen wollen immer das in chronologischer Weise eben hinplatzieren, aber wir müssen das eben richtig trennen.
Okay. Anybody got any last questions or any points they want to raise?
Hat jemand noch Fragen?
Okay. So I hope that one point that I want to make, if you have time, and I will be looking at this, is just look how many times it says in the Bible the time appointed. There's reeks of them, right? In many stories, Judges and all that, and they must all be going to explain this time here, right?
Und ja, eine Bitte habe ich noch an euch, dass ihr eben vielleicht also in der Bibel euch anschaut, wie oft eben diese bestimmte Zeit eben vorkommt. Und das spricht eben ja über.
I'm saying all these stories must be explaining this event.
Und all diese Geschichten, sie müssen eben dieses Ereignis dann eben erklären.
Okay, so with a bit of time, that's what we will study out. Okay, let's close.
Father in heaven,
Lieber Vater im Himmel,
we thank you for the times appointed
danken dir für diese bestimmten Zeiten,
and that we receive a pattern that you show us,
dass wir ein Muster bekommen, was du uns zeigst,
that we can then know when to tarry and when you will act.
dass wir wissen können, wann wir warten müssen und wann du handeln wirst.
And therefore please help us to understand this more fully and to believe it and to obey it.
So bitte hilf uns, dass wir das noch besser verstehen und dem auch glauben und gehorchen.
And that we can then finally know you because we experience this fulfillment of the time appointed.
Dass wir dich dann schlussendlich kennen können, weil wir eben das erfahren haben, diese bestimmten Zeiten.
And that we after that are no longer so easily be deceived because we know how you act and how you not act.
Dass wir dann nachher nicht so leicht verführt werden können, weil wir wissen, wie du eben handelst und wie nicht.
So please explain to us these different reform lines more fully.
So bitte erklär uns diese verschiedenen Reformlinien mehr,
And that we understand the wheels within the wheels.
dass wir diese Räder in den Rädern verstehen,
And that we see and understand them as you want to relay them to us.
dass wir eben sehen und verstehen, wie du sie eben zu uns auslegen möchtest.
And so please help us to dwell upon these things today
So bitte hilf uns, dass wir diese Dinge nachdenken.
and help us also in our daily activities.
Hilf uns auch in unseren täglichen Aktivitäten.
And we ask and pray all these things in Jesus' name.
Bitten und beten diese Dinge in Jesu Namen.
Amen.
Amen.